Hello, and welcome back to the UAS Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Piekarski, and I am joined today by Piers Dormeyer, who is the CEO of EagleView. Welcome to the podcast, Piers. We are glad to have you on today.
Well, hi, Danielle, and thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Well, let's just get started. And can you start by telling us about EagleView and what you do in your role as CEO at the company?
Sure. So EagleView is in the business of capturing high-resolution aerial imagery. We process, store that data that we collect from various airplanes and drones and other modes, and we take that base data set, and it's made up of high-resolution orthogonal and oblique images, and we use that to create solutions for different industries. So that can be understanding anything about asset intelligence, people, places, things, understanding risk, identifying change, high precision measurements for various industries and use cases. But yeah, that's what we do.
Great. And EagleView has been doing this for over 20 years now, correct?
Yeah, it's been a little longer than that. So I think we've been at this well over 20 years, closer to 25 at this point.
So, how has EagleView's technology and approach evolved to better serve counties and regional governments in that time?
So it's changed so much. The geospatial data industry is just as technologies evolved, obviously the capabilities and frankly the breadth of problems that we can solve and the quality in which we can solve them has certainly scaled along with the rest of the world and technology in general. But generally speaking, we're one part of our business is we're constantly innovating from the capture side of things. So think hardware, think flying aircraft, and building sensors and camera systems that can enable us to capture better and better quality imagery faster, more frequently, so that we can serve our customers more effectively. And then there's another side of the business that has gotten really exciting over the last few years, especially with the accessibility of AI. And that's really making sense of all of that data we capture, process it into high quality ortho mosaics, for example, but then extract things like 3D models and change detection and things like that really help our stakeholders get the answers that they're looking for.
Okay. So, recently we've had some natural disasters hitting the southern states. Can you explain how EagleView's aerial imagery and drones are being deployed in the immediate aftermath of disasters like Hurricane Milton?
Yeah, so this is a really important part of what we do. We serve our DRP, disaster response program. We really deploy that workflow in a number of different kinds of events, and Hurricane Milton was the most frequent and the most notable, especially for me, given the fact that I'm here on a barrier island in Pinellas County, and I got to evacuate twice this season. But there's after an event, after a disaster like these recent storms, there's so many different clients, customers that are needing to get that access for various different use cases. But notably, public safety is kind of number one. So we aim to, the process is pretty extensive, as you might imagine, but we aim to get in there as fast as we possibly can, as soon as it's safe, and then turn around some rapid processing so that we can get that imagery in the hands of first responders, folks that can help triage the situation, understand where help needs to get most urgently deployed to. We're working with infrastructure to understand where power lines might be down, or poles are crossing roads, trees are blocking infrastructure, whatever, and then critically insurance, understanding where the damage is, so insurance can deploy their CAT teams to the area. So lots going on in that process.
Okay. Well, I think I got this next question, some of the answers already, but are there any other ways that county and regional governments utilize that imagery and data provided by EagleView in the immediate aftermath and also just long-term recovery efforts?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you start thinking about all the work that needs to be done after a storm barrels through, you can immediately start thinking about the most urgent stuff, right? Which we just talked about, public safety, infrastructure. But you're also looking at the longer term effects of the storm, capital rebuilding of roads and infrastructure. And there's just so many departments that get in the mix here. But yeah, tax assessment becomes really important as well. And then really just understanding even post that. And again, one of the things that we do is we also fly during good weather, right? So you're going to see a picture of, a very high resolution picture of what that area might have looked like before that storm rolled through. So you're going to be able, we can run change identification so that we can show the county, the state, whoever really, really wants to understand what's changed in that area, exactly the magnitude of the impact. So that's really, really important, especially when we're starting to get into longer term restoration, budgeting, those types of activities are really relying on this data and for many months. And then frankly, rebuilding efforts, understanding what the effects were can really help engineers design more effectively for the future.
Very interesting. Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong on these numbers, but since 2016, EagleView has activated its disaster response program 53 times. What lessons have you learned from these activations, and how do they inform EagleView's strategy for future events?
Yeah, it's a great question. It actually feels like a low number, but 53, that's a lot of gray hair, by the way, because these are complicated missions for us. When we kick off one of these DRP projects, first of all, we're not just talking about hurricanes. So we're talking about some examples of what would kick off one of these missions, one of these deployments. You got hurricanes, but you've also got tornadoes. We've got wildfires, the Maui fires, the Lahaina fires, and were another example. We were even mustering for volcanoes at one point, even earthquakes. So there's lots of different types of events that could trigger one of these DRP mobilizations. And each one of those has maybe different requirements. We're going to treat each of those differently from the perspective of, what's the amount of time that we have to get in and out of there, how to be safe. Do we think we're going to have power? Are we going to have to operate without power? How close can our airplanes, can our pilots get? So over the years, we've had to really build a playbook for so many different scenarios. And every time we go through one of these events, we have a post-mortem where all of our leaders kind of get around the phone and we try to grade ourselves across multiple dimensions. What did we do well? What could we improve on? And that's been sort of evolving for a long time. So we learn a lot about just about every storm we do or every event that we do. I can tell you that we made numerous improvements between Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton, which were just only a couple weeks apart.
Okay. Well, again, we are joined today by Piers Dormeyer, CEO of EagleView. Piers, is there anything else you'd like to add before we close things out today?
Just that come see us at EagleView.com. I can be found on LinkedIn. You can get to me pretty easily. So I'm always looking forward to talking to somebody about our technology. We were the first to deploy 1-inch imagery for this hurricane season. So that's 1-inch oblique imagery, which has been really exciting and really offers new insights. So we've had a lot of interest in that. So come check us out.
Well, thank you again for joining us today. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you or your company is interested in recording a podcast, please contact UAS Magazine. For more podcasts just like this one, visit uasmagazine.com and subscribe for industry news. We hope that you enjoyed this episode and look forward to next time. Until then.